It's a low-rent version of the first movie. There. Now that we have got that out of the way, let's get into my review. Deep Blue Sea 2. 19 years later, and these sharks still have bite. I mean, they're not the same sharks from the first movie, but they're sharks nevertheless. Bull sharks, not mako sharks, but details. But before we get into it, make sure to check out my book, Chomp, which was written in time, thank God. This is a killer shark book that I wrote, and I'd be honored if anyone would check it out and give me feedback on my second book, my first being Wild Man. The links to purchase it on Amazon on paperback and or Kindle are in the description below. Let's get into the review. The plot. Carl Durant, a infamous billionaire genius, has called upon a few scientists, or, well, a marine biologist, a neurobiologist, and I can't remember the last one, but the marine biologist is also a shark conservationalist. Anyways, he calls upon them to go over a few things with him, make sure everything's top of the tier. Plus, their main shark, Bella, has been acting a bit weird. Well, there's a reason for that, and now everyone's in trouble, stuck in the facility, as sharks attack. Like in the first movie. I know, I defended this movie to the bitter end when it first came out, and I still agree with some of my opinions. This is a ripoff of Deep Blue Sea, which in of itself is a ripoff of Jurassic Park. So if you want to make the argument that Deep Blue Sea 2 is a ripoff of Deep Blue Sea, then you have to say Deep Blue Sea 1 and 2 are ripoffs of Jurassic Park. However, this is a B movie, much like the first, but with a smaller budget. I mean, set-wise, it's pretty cool. I mean, you have these hallways that were designed, I think there's only like maybe 2 or 3, maybe just 1 for all I know, because they seem to change the colors in the hallways once the facility gets into trouble. That's how they establish where the characters are in different sections. So they have very few hallways, but the hallways they do have look cool, and it's a neat trick to save money, or just make it look like a Christmas tree. Come visit Aqualos, the Christmas facility with sharks. Aqualos is the name of the facility. Performance-wise, the acting is all over the place. I feel Carl Durant is a pretty cool bad guy. He has that deep voice. Welcome everybody to my facility. I love his voice, but his acting is a bit all over the place in terms of just being a bad guy. He seems really genuinely nice at first, which most bad guys would try to start off as, but then eventually he goes down into insanity. Also, Misty Calhoun, the shark conservationalist, is a bit over the top. I get that they're trying to push the message that sharks are endangered from humans, and that it's not the other way around, but still, it comes off as preachy in some parts. Effects-wise, it's also a hit or miss. I mean, the effects are pretty good in some scenes, surprisingly for a low-budget shark film that premiered on Sci-Fi, but this is Warner Home Entertainment, so they did have a little bit more money to work with. I felt this could have gone a bit further. I mean, especially from what I've read, this had a $4 million budget. There was a comment on a YouTube video, I cannot find it for the life of me, but they said that it had a $4 million budget, and I thought about it, and it does kind of seem like that would be a fitting amount for this kind of movie, with the way it was executed and presented. Plus, Deep Blue Sea 3 has a $5 million budget, so it's not too out of the realm of reality. Misty Calhoun, played by Danielle Savray, who I've already mentioned is the shark conservationalist, is, well, passionate, but overdramatic in some parts. I mean, I get a lot of the things she says make sense, but at the same time she calls Carl Durant the devil. What? Trent Slater, played by Rob Mays, is pretty cool as the discount Thomas Jane, aka Carter from Deep Blue Sea. He does seem to really want to be a kick-butt character, but he doesn't do much in terms of that regard. I mean, he doesn't fight a shark, he just saves a few people. I mean, that's still heroic, but there's no kick-butt action that he's really involved in. Everything kind of wraps up too neatly. Carl Durant, played by Michael Beach, as I said already, is insane throughout most of the movie. And that's fine by me. I mean, he gives a hell of a performance in terms of trying to be an insane genius. He's really worried that the machines will take over the world, which somebody's been watching Terminator a lot. AI technology will wipe us out, man! Aaron Elroy, played by Nathan Lynn, who I believe was in Critter's Attack for a scene or two, is the nerdy geek who really wants to be helpful, but he's also kind of the Bill Paxton of the movie. He's always screaming like, why can't we catch a break? Just one break! I mean, I get it, he's trying to be funny, but I think there was only like one thing I liked about it, and that was the fact that the sharks liked his shoes, which was a running gag. It happened like twice, once at the beginning, once at the end. But it's kind of a throwaway gag. It doesn't really matter to the story in the end. Dan and Leslie Kim, played by Jeremy Boado and Kim Seester. I mean, it's spelled Syster. What do you want me to do? Call her sister? They're the married couple that are oh so obviously dead. I mean, they're so lovey-dovey. Then when Dan does something behind Leslie's back at one point, and she forgives him almost instantly. And that's kind of what I mean. The characters don't act like real people. I mean, if somebody took your research and handed it to somebody else for months on end behind your back, I'd be more than a little miffed. Also, the decisions make no sense. I mean, there's also one part, it kind of makes sense why they still jump in the water, but it's out of nowhere. Like, the whole structure is about to fall apart, but they don't really establish that before. They just say, once the building shakes once, oh, the whole thing's going to fall apart. But the Coast Guard comes in and sees them on their drone, and the shark takes down the drone. But they still saw him. Help's on the way. I honestly felt this was written by a high schooler, and it's very B-movie-ish. Like, they make stuff up for it to work, or they have these things happen that would never happen in real life to make it work. Or the decisions, like, to see if Bella is, I don't want to spoil anything, but the test they do, it could have been done another and safer way. In terms of lighting, it's okay. I mean, as before mentioned, different colored hallways did get a bit annoying at times, especially when you're trying to see the blood come up, but it's like black or orange because of the color that it's in, so it kind of lost a lot of the gore aspect. Plus, it's overly saturated in some scenes. If you have really bad eyesight or sensitive eyes, it could hurt. I'm not kidding. The gore, the effects, it's not as graphic as the first, but it still has some good stuff. A man's lower half is eaten, a woman's face is torn to bits, a man is dismembered, and it's symbolic as heck, and I love it. Also, a man is eaten, like chomped, and blood flies out everywhere, and a rather beautiful shot. There's also some mangled corpses, and a lot of red water. It's got some decent gore, nothing too great, but nothing bad either. The motion picture soundtrack, which I also have signed on a limited to 500 copies edition. I don't know what number this one is, but it has all the songs, plus the song sang by Sean Murray, who also composed the music for the movie. I wish it told me which one this was, but it's limited to 500 units. The music in this movie, it's fitting. There are some rock and roll or metal songs in that, like not songs, but themes in the movie that don't really fit. It's like dun 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 dun. It's like, why would you do that in an intense, suspenseful scene? The music is sort of hit or miss, but sometimes it is epic and or eerie. It's just a decent soundtrack overall. That's the back, in case you were wondering. I don't know if you can still get this. This movie, it's okay. The movie seems like it wanted to restart the franchise without doing a flat-out reboot, because the third movie does follow this movie. Hopefully we get more, and when Deep Blue Sea 3 comes out, I hope that's not the end. It looks pretty good, actually, but I hope the story continues in the expansive. Overall, I give Deep Blue Sea 2 a fitting 2 out of 5. Thank you all for watching, and I am Brian Gatto, the horror show host. Make sure to like, comment on, as well as share this video. Like my Facebook fan page, and to support me on Patreon, Even $1 a month will help keep this channel going on strong, and is greatly appreciated. Plus, you'll get access to body counts and music videos and other stuff that you can't get on YouTube because of copyright and age restriction. Also, hit that notification bell, and as always, subscribe.